Welcome back to the show, ladies and germs. Looking ahead to week 7 of the LCS, and we're looking at some daily fantasy picks, what you want to be going heading into this one. And we actually did pretty well last week, and that was because we had full faith in FlyQuest bouncing back. They did just that against Golden Guardians. Viper and the gang, if you had a lot of them, you would have done very well because they were dirt cheap, probably not highly drafted, and they got quite a few points. They had a great win against the Guardians, so we did well. Let's see if we can follow it up here in week 7. Gonna go through all the roles and then give you our picks, at least in North America, at the end. As per usual, we got to start in that top lane where, again, it's some familiar faces. The biggest question mark is still going to be Kumo or Licorice starting in that top lane for C9. Kumo started in the Academy League, but I think that's more because Jukes is no longer with the squad. He's heading back to Brazil. I still don't think Licorice is ready to join. I think it's just double duty for Kumo this weekend. Is he worth the money against 100 Thieves? He might be. I mean, Fake Gods maybe. He's definitely one of the bottom top laners, bottom 3, and it's almost unfair to him because he's given so few resources on that squad. But Kumo gets a whole lot of resources, so maybe you're comfortable spending the money on him. Another guy is Viper, who almost regardless of matchup has been putting up solid numbers. You've got to ban Riven against him, but the CLG one is a little bit tough to have full faith in him matching up against that squad. So I'm worried to actually have faith in CLG because, you know, for 3 splits in a row, they've burned any fan that they've had there. So I'm a little hesitant to do that. But Kumo might be worth the money. And basically the theme that we're going to talk about today is Team Liquid versus Clutch. If you can fit a player or two from that roster, it's probably going to be a safe bet. The only reason I hesitate a little, I'm pretty confident that Team Liquid will take down Clutch. It's just how many kills are they actually going to have? Is it going to be a bloodthirsty game, or is it just going to be Team Liquid slowly strangling them out? Because that seems to be the case in a lot of their matchups. But Impact versus Huni, I definitely like Impact quite a bit. When we come to junglers, again, big mismatch. Well, Sven Skaren, he did play like Kumo in the Academy League for Cloud9 this week, but this guy's playing at an MVP level. Is he really going to get subbed out for Blabber? Cloud9 needs wins now more than ever because of how close that top 4 is in North America. And we know Acadian is going through for the foreseeable future for TSM, and he's pretty close in salary to Contracts, and I feel like Contracts is actually the weakest link on that Guardians member or that roster, so I feel like Acadian might be worth the money in that matchup. And Meteos, I think a strategy might just be whoever Echo Fox is playing, stock up on them because I don't think they're competing, even though Optic's probably the most suspect team outside of them because they've been on such a slide. But Meteos versus Mike Young is a matchup I think you can take advantage of in the jungle, and that is going to be where they get the win, assuming Optic holds and kind of breaks the losing streak that they are on. Meteos versus Mike Young is a big favorable matchup for the boys from the green wall. The mid lane, it's honestly, we could fill out these rankings before we even get close to the matches because they're so similar every week. It's some order of Niski, Bjergsen, Jensen, and Frog in the top 4, bar none, almost every single time. I think for this week, I'm going with either Bjergsen or Froggen, whoever you're more comfortable in with that matchup. I'm more comfortable in Bjergsen. Remember the last time these guys played, there were tons of kills. Bjergsen had double-digit kills on that Azir. He had a couple game-winning plays for them. And Froggen, even in a lot of their losses, he might not have many kills, but he has a solid scoreline. But I still think TSM, I know they're favored in that matchup. They should be. I think they get it done. And Bjergsen continues to be the best player on that squad. If you're picking someone from TSM, I think he is the guy to go with in that mid lane matchup. Other than that, again, Niski versus Ryu. Ryu's been fine. I'd like to see more teams ban Corki against 100 Thieves just to see if this guy can play anything else. His last 3 out of his last 4 games, he's been playing the Corki. It's very meta. It's a pretty safe pick. Not pretty safe. It's extremely safe in that mid lane. So Niski, maybe not worth the money this week, but who knows? I feel like 100 Thieves are on the up and up, so I might be a little hesitant to go all in on Cloud9 right now. 80 carries, double lift. As per usual, you're looking at one of, if not the most expensive man that you're going to be seeing on this list. And again, this might be the week that you spend the cash, maybe even throw him in as a captain for, I'm sure it's around 13,000 you're talking about here, but even if he's rocking the Sona, we've seen him put up some crazy numbers, double-digit assists easily because you only have to press a button. That's just how Sona works. And him and Core JJ have been absolutely dumpstering a lot of these bottom lanes. I think they will have their way with Cody Sun and Vulcan in that bottom lane. So that's a matchup you could probably feel confident in. The CLG bottom lane, you see how cheap Wild Turtle is in this matchup against CLG. You might say, well, that's a little bit disrespectful towards him, but he and Wadid have actually been highly questionable in that bottom lane. Stixay and Bio have been pretty consistent, so I like CLG in that matchup, especially because they're not that expensive. If you don't have the cash balance to be going all in on somebody like Doublelift, then maybe the CLG bottom lane is something you can consider in that matchup, because outside of that, it's a lot of one-sided ones. I don't know if it's scary to pick some of the upsets the other way because there would be pretty big upsets. So CLG bottom lane or spend the cash for Doublelift. And when it comes to support, I mean, it's basically echoing what we just talked about when it comes to those AD carries, because it's their partners in the bottom lane. Again, it's, you know, the typical boys at the top, Zazel, Smoothie, and Core JJ. If you want to just double down and go Core JJ and Doublelift, well, I mean, that's basically half your team's salary for the week. So that seems a little bit risky. I mean, maybe support is where you kind of hope for one of these bloodthirsty games, go for one of the cheaper guys in that $4,000 range to try and save from the 6,000 that the top end guys are going to be. Save a couple K and hope that these bloodthirsty games, some support goes 0-5-15 or something like that. Even in a losing effort, sometimes the support players can put up a pretty decent showing for you. For our picks this week, again, we're hoping to follow up with a solid week 6 and week 7. We've got a couple of teams that we're going pairs. It's pairs week here in week 7. We've got CLG, 100 Thieves, and TSM. And we've got Team Liquid here as our team. I talked about, I'm very confident they win that game, but I'm just scared there won't be that many kills. So we spent the money for the most expensive team to take them against Clutch. Bjergsen and Sven. I talked about Bjerg. I like that matchup against the Guardians. Didn't quite have the cash for Doublelift, so we went with Sven, who's still one of the more expensive AD carries, who should have a good showing against FBI and Huhi in that bottom lane for Golden Guardians, who are still kind of figuring out the synergistic matchups for them. And then we've got some CLG boys, Ruin and Wiggly. And Wiggly is quietly having a fantastic season for CLG. I know it's against FlyQuest and Santorin, has been one of the better junglers in NA, but I think CLG finally, they keep delivering this week and they won't bring some disappointment. And FlyQuest, quite frankly, too many errors for me to have full confidence in them. Then we got 100 Thieves. We've got the rest of the boys. We've got Bang. We've got Afro. I think they're on the up and up. C9 barely beat TSM. They shouldn't have really. And they lost to Echo Fox. I don't have a ton of confidence in them. 100 Thieves are on the up and up. I think they're making playoffs, and it starts in week 7. And how else are they going to win but through Bang and Afro in that bottom lane? Those are your picks for week 7 fantasy in the LCS. We hope you do very well and win some cash maybe so that you can spend more for week 8.